Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. My name is Stacey and I'm an infidelity recovery coach who specializes in helping the unfaithful in their affair and heal from it. If you would like to know more or how to work with me, check the description box down below. All the information will be there for you. So let's get into this video. So this video is called Stages of an Emotional Affair. So let's talk a little bit about the stages an emotional affair goes through, because I think people can get into this and not really realize that they're having an emotional affair. So the first one would be friendship. It looks innocent. Okay, but you just click. You know, like how, have you ever met that person you just kind of click with? That's how I felt with my affair partner. Now, of course, if you know my story, he was in the medical profession and he was a service provider for us for a while. So I had interaction with him. It's not like, you know, we were friends and hung out in a social group or anything. But when I would go in for my appointments, our interaction felt like I had known him forever. You know, we would always talk about how we felt like we knew each other. You know, it was so easy to be with this person. It was easy to talk to them. We had a connection almost, you know, right away. Like once we started talking to each other, you just feel comfortable around them. So, you know, I've had guy friends before and I've never felt that way. You know, I've had friends where, oh, okay, yeah, we're friends and, you know, we just talk, hang out as friends, no big deal. I never really had a connection or like an emotional connection unless I was romantically involved, you know, unless it was like a person I really was thinking about, oh, okay, well, maybe this is someone I'm going to date, in other words. So you want to be careful with that. It's going to start off as a friendship, but it's going to have a little bit more spice to it than we're just friends. The next one is you'll let your guard down. You might start to share like, oh, I dreamed this, or he would share with me, you know, he had kids and he had a son and he wanted one of them when they grew up to work with him. So that was like one of his dreams, you know, one of my dreams I would, you know, share with him, like about writing or that kind of thing. And we would just kind of go back and forth. And what that is doing is creating intimacy. You're building intimacy when you start to go through the different levels. Like you can have friendships, we stay platonic, we keep it surface. We don't really share, you know, our problems. I'm not even going to share like, you know, my excitements or what I want to do in my life with you. But then you start to get to another level, and this is where intimacy really begins to build, and that's where that emotional connection starts to be established, when, you know, you start sharing like your fears and, you know, that kind of thing. Especially if you start to like talk about your spouse, like, oh, I'm complaining, or I might just throw something out there and like a random, you know, he would tell me, yeah, she doesn't like flowers and she doesn't like to go anywhere, and I try to make plans and she doesn't want to do it, and, you know, I would complain, my husband's never here, he never talks to me. So you might think that's harmless, but it's not. It's really building that emotional connection, because all of us want that emotional connection. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I want to point this out to you, is that a strong relationship is all about building intimacy. It's not chasing love. It's not chasing that high in love feeling. It's about building intimacy. And what we're really looking for when we say I love you is, I want that connection with you, that emotional connection. So when you start to talk to someone about personal things, just keep in mind that you're building intimacy. The next one could be like trauma bonding. This is where you might go through things together. It's definitely going to be a stage where you'll talk about your marriage, or you might talk about how your spouse makes you feel, and then that person will, you know, validate you. They'll say, oh no, they're not right. You know, I understand where you're coming from. my affair partner, he really made me feel like I could be myself with him. Like I didn't have to pretend to be this perfect person. Because, you know, in Christian world, sometimes we can get very self-righteous, and then the people we hang out with are, you know, even my spouse at the time, he was very self-righteous, so you had to be a certain way, and I couldn't be that way all the time. I couldn't be myself because I would get judged for it. But with my affair partner, I didn't. I could just be myself, and he just loved me for who I was, and he's like, yeah, I mean, you know, I like who you are. I wouldn't want you to pretend to be different. So that can be like trauma bonding, where they start to validate you and start, you know, you guys might go through things together. Like we also went through, we each lost someone in our family. So we were there for each other. I gotta take a break. Sorry about that, my mouth gets dry. So we were there for each other during that time. We were really supportive. And also what highlights that situation is if you're going through a difficult time and the spouses are not there for you, then you'll cling to each other more, and that's just going to reinforce the bond. The next stage you might find yourself in after that, you guys start to flirt, you know, you might make sexual comments, you know, just kind of like little innuendos, or like, oh my gosh, what if we were together, or what if we took a trip together, or you look really good today, you know, or just kind of think like, I'm gonna brush you, you know, brush your shoulder, or, you know, just touch your hand, that kind of thing. And the flirting kicks up, and after the flirting kicks up, and you, like, if one of you start the flirting and the other reciprocates, then that's it. You're all downhill from here. Because now you've let each other know that you're attracted to each other, and the next step is, okay, we just need to, you know, like be together. But actually the next step would be, hey, let's make plans to do stuff together. Now you're getting into the experimental part of intimacy, which also builds intimacy, because there's 4 areas that actually cause you, you know, if you build these 4 areas, you have a very fulfilling relationship. And doing stuff together, making plans to see each other, that is a part of it. And it's kind of like, okay, well, this has been good. We've been in this emotional part. You know, we're just casually, you know, growing closer and closer together. How about we do something? How about we see each other? How about we plan a trip? You know, if you don't live in the same state, or let's just start hanging out. And that, you know, I think we knew that we liked each other before we started hanging out. But the last stage would be, that's when you confess your feelings. I know for us, we kind of played around with this situation for a while. We just spent time like getting to know each other under the banner of friends, because we said, oh, we're just friends, it's great, you know, you understand me, you get me, I love this, that kind of thing. So it was, I think he was out of town one day, and he was at a convention, and he couldn't talk on the phone. And by that time, we had been speaking on the phone constantly. We were starting to text back and forth. It wasn't I love yous, or it wasn't any of those types of things yet. It was just talking and going through all the other stages I mentioned. We hadn't really got to the flirting. Well, maybe a little flirting. I can't say that. But nothing over the top. And then that day when he got back that night, he said he missed me. And I said I missed him too. So after that is really when we started to talk about, where's this going, like what's going on. This doesn't feel like a real, like just a friendship. This, you know, this feels like it's more. So those are your 6 stages. If you find yourself in there and you're struggling to get out, I can definitely help you get out. I would advise you to consider getting out, because they're not worth the investment, the destruction that comes to you and your family and their family. And it's just not worth the mark that it leaves on you. And it's not a shame mark. Don't get me wrong, it's not anything like that. It's a wound. It's like yeah, I really went through some severe pain. You know, if you've ever, you know, had an accident, you have a scar from it, and you can remember how traumatizing it was, how painful it was. It's kind of like what, on the end of the affair, what it looks like. Oh yeah, that was really painful. I don't want to do that again. So Okay, I hope you found this helpful. If you need me, I'm here. Let me know. Check the box below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.